No way, Jose.
The following footage proves beyond any doubt that the tanks intentionally set the house on fire. It proves that the Branch Davidians were murdered. You can see that this tank has a gas jet on the front that shoots fire. You can also see the fire quite plainly. The tank goes into the house twice, and each time as it backs out, the fire at the gas jets is plainly visible.
We must all do more to recognize and look for the early warning signals that deeply troubled young people send.
Good morning. Welcome to the No Way Jose podcast. This is the Morning Dump, and I am Jose Galison. What is up, guys? It is Sunday, January 26th. I see Doc Tori in the chat saying, "Subtards, just dumped by Xerox, walking to work." Yeah, it's cold out there. Stay warm. Getting losers. We're going on a dump run from Alano Mofo. What's up, guys? Nice seeing some of my regulars in here right off the jump. Ooh, here's another one. Dump my chest. I don't recognize that name, so maybe that's a newer one. You guys are getting in on the ground floor. Hopefully here soon we'll have a bunch more of you guys. With this Tripoli episode should be dropping any day now. So we'll see when that comes out, but I'm looking forward to it. Today we have a little bit of the opposite of one of the main themes in that show that I did with Tinfoil Hat, where we kind of talked about cautious optimism. Now we're doing a little bit the opposite. I'm kind of pointing out, there's going to be a few today where we kind of point out where maybe you should be a little concerned about the old Trumpy poo coming in. So we'll go into that. That way we're kind of looking at both sides, as I tend to do. I am not one to. I try to be a nuanced thinker. I may sound retarded, but I swear it's not retarded in there. It's a lot of good things going on inside that noggin. Dangerous retards, baby. Ooh, sounds like I pulled you over from that realm, from the Nephilim Death Squad realm. Well, it's good to have you here. Just to give you a rundown, you have over at Nephilim Death Squad, you have the Timeline Cleanse over there. That's kind of what this is, sort of. Except for we also have the co-host of Austin, where he does it on his channel. One of these days, we're eventually just going to stream it to both. But yes, it's good. It's good to have you here. His is more pee pee poo poo. This is a little bit more big brain time. Although there's still a little bit of pee pee poo poo. And I would actually argue that even in Ravens, there's some big brain time in there. There's some intellectual thoughts to be taken from a timeline cleanse, as there are some retarded thoughts to be taken from a morning dump. So I don't know. There's something interesting in that thought there. All right, guys. Well, while we wait for more people to roll in, it is pretty early here in this old live stream. I do want to remind you guys today's episode was brought to you by Nadeau Shave Co. If you're tired of the razor burn irritation and ingrown hairs caused by the deep penetrating multi-blade cartridges, then this is the way to go. You can return to the traditional shave. Whether you're shaving your whole face or edging up your beard, the single blades give you a barber-grade shave for a fraction of the price. The standard issue includes one traditional safety razor and a box of 100 stainless steel razor blades. $75 to shave for a whole ear. That's the estimate. Let's be real. It's probably going to last you a lot longer. It's lasted me a lot longer. I don't even know if I've gone through a quarter of that. I've had it over a year. It really depends on how frequently you shave. Now, if you are someone who's shaving on the daily, then it probably won't cut it. And if in that case, you're going to want to sign up for the Quarter Shave Club. That'll put you out about 25 cents per replacement blade. This is also a COVID mandate refusing company. This company was born out of refusing the mandate. This is a cheaper product than you're going to get from the multi-blade cartridges. This is also a better product. It's better for your face. Feels better shave. You're going to have a baby smooth face. It really, for real. I'm not even kidding. The first time I used it, I was like, whoa, this is so smooth. But yeah, so it's a better product, cheaper product, and it's from a company that doesn't hate your guts. So it's kind of a no-brainer. Use code Jose for 10% off your entire order to let them know I send you, so that way they keep on supporting me over here. But let's go ahead and hop back in here and get into it with you guys. What's up, guys? I actually left that chat up the whole time. Everyone just saying hi. It works best for your scrotum. Actually, we've joked about this a lot on Tower Gang, obviously, because we used to be ad reading over there for them. But I would not recommend it. Not really a place I'd put a single blade on. You do want to go like kind of more slow and methodical with them, and not do. Whereas when you're doing your nuts, you're just kind of. So yeah, I don't know, whatever. Yeah, I would not recommend it. Just throwing that out there. All right, guys, let's go ahead and you know what? I think I might start doing this. And this was just one that just kind of spurred me a little bit. But maybe this will be a thing. I don't know if this is smart in engaging in with the audience in this manner. But I think I may start making it a habit to start reading some of your comments. So if you guys, obviously you guys have the live chat here, so if you want to comment, you can do that. But the comments are a little bit more personalized for me. A lot of times the live chat's more like you guys talking to each other. But the comments, I don't know. I feel like there's a little bit more of like a thought put into comments sometimes. So I don't know. Leave comments. I guess it's also a way to incentivize you guys to boost the algos. But that's not even it. It really was just this kind of spurred me a little bit. On yesterday's one, we had a few of you guys. This is the one I want. We're only going to focus on this one. If you think that all drugs should be legal, you are a retard. You are intellectually lazy and most likely justifying your own use. I wanted to hone in on that. I do think all drugs are legal. I am a retard, so that first sentence is pretty much accurate. Now, I would argue that I'm not intellectually lazy. I am a retard, but I am not intellectually lazy. And justifying your own use, I mean, sure, maybe. I mean, you can make some sort of argument that at some point in time that this had something to do with justifying my own use. But if anything, like, I don't know, I told you guys about my past with drugs, and I don't really ever use, I mean, like, I smoke weed occasionally, I'll be honest. I almost never drink, so I'm really not a drug, like, I mean, like, yeah, I guess you could say weed, but, like, whatever. I don't know. I hardly use drugs. So, I mean, like, I don't know. And, like, I told you guys yesterday, I was active duty for, like, over a decade. So, it's like, I don't know. I was clean. I didn't do anything during that period of time. So, like, I don't know. It's not really, I mean, I guess, sure. I don't know. It just seems like a lot just to justify my own use. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to knee-jerk go, all drugs should be legal just to justify my own use when it really wasn't, like, something I've done a ton or really, I don't know, maybe when I was younger. Like well over a decade ago, I definitely had a drug problem. Don't now. But I don't know. The intellectual lazy, I just thought it was I don't know. I guess I just want to make a point that I don't think you need a government to prevent things to exist. The idea that we need coercion in the system is necessary. I mean, sure, yes, in some things like murder, assault, stuff along those lines, like actual physical violent acts, sure. Yeah, like it makes sense for coercion to be what responds in those situations, because that's kind of really the only thing you can kind of meet violence with in many cases. Now, when it comes to something like a victimless crime, which is literally all drugs, I don't understand why they can be legal. But now, on the other hand, am I saying that I also want to make it so every company out there in the world what's the word I'm having a brain fart. This is what I'm talking about where I am a retard. You are right, that one part. Now, am I saying that every company in the world should be mandated to not drug test? No. I mean, I do think you should be able to. I think in this world, you should legally be able to use any drug you want. Does that mean you're going to have easy access to it? No. Does that mean you're going to be employable while doing that? No. Does that mean you're going to be insurable while doing that? No. So, like, I don't know. I've read countless books on, like, how world would work within the absence of coercion. Like, I don't know. Calling me intellectually lazy to come to this conclusion is kind of retarded. Honestly, I mean, I guess maybe if you know nothing about me, you've never looked into my work, like the first 100 episodes is basically all theory. So like I've devoted a lot of time to studying theory. I'm not the most eloquent at like, arguing with people or going on rants about it. I'm not the Dave Smith of the world. I'm not the one who's really good at taking those thoughts and putting out, but I can tell you, I've read a fuckload about it. Like I'm not intellectually lazy as far be it. So I don't know. I've read fucking Bob Murphy's chaos theory, I have thought extensively on like how a world would work with the absence of coercion. And so I don't know. Really, the idea of whether drugs should be legal is like very, very low level on that. Like I've gone beyond that, like so far beyond that. I'm just too retarded to properly use words to express that to you. But yes, I've definitely looked into this extensively. But anyways, that's the end of that. I've probably caused an issue where this is going to continue to be a thing. But yeah, I also got some. I said I was only going to do one, but fuck it, I'll read them all. I'll read at least these few. While I enjoy your content, the half hour every show explaining how the sausage is made is kind of whack. We don't need every single detail. I don't know what you're referring to personally. I don't know. Sometimes I just fucking rant and then forget what I'm talking about. So I will work on that. If you give me more specifics, I'm sorry. But yeah, also these morning dumps are more of like just shooting the shit with you guys too. So it's like, this is less like perfect format. This is very much shoot the bull, not overthinking it. I have my weekly episodes and the Already Dead ones that are still a little bit more off the cuff. I'd say the Already Dead is still, like, since it's a live show, it's still a little more off the cuff in a sense, but not quite anywhere near what these morning dumps are. These are very raw, very real. But yeah, the morning dumps, yeah, they're raw. But my weekly, like, No Way Jose's, those are gonna be the ones that are a little bit more in depth. Which, speaking of, tonight I have how do you say his name? Shiggest Bitter or something? I don't know. He's somebody who's done a lot of, like, he's an internet anon who's done like a lot of great coverage on the Vegas shooting, and I'll have him on tonight. And also, can you have BX on? Her work is very good, and she's been completely shafted in recognition. Yeah, I'd be glad to have her on, and I don't know if I'd necessarily say she's been shafted in recognition. She's her profile's blown up recently, although I don't follow her other numbers, so I don't know. But yes, I'd have no problem having her on. I like BX. She's cool. I've been talking about a lot of her stuff recently, kind of trying to push her work. I mean, not push it, I guess would be the wrong way to put it, but I've been talking about it on the show. So, I mean, like, I'm doing my part. I mean, maybe I'm sure at some point she'll come back on as a guest. By the way, we have William Ramsey coming on Tuesday, as well, and Already Dead. And, no, not Tuesday, the following Tuesday. We have Foundering coming on this Tuesday. Austin will be out. And Grey Pilled will be sitting in. By the way, this might exactly be what you're talking about, making the sausage. My bad. But all right, that's the last today that we're going to be doing that. Let's see what you guys' thoughts are. Jose making me realize why I can't grow my channel. I would have called them both fags in a standalone video. Nah, I don't. If anything, I really am like, I shouldn't even have responded. But I'm like, whatever. It's like, you know what? Actually, the funny thing is, hey, say, wait, what now? It's more intellectually lazy to blanket statement. Drugs bad, should be illegal. I will say, like, when I read that comment, I do this thing when I read comments and I'll just have this like internal like argument of like debate of like this and that of like what I would say to this, because I feel like most people do this. They do the daydream of like think about that one time somebody said something shitty to them, and then you're like, I should have said this. Like that's and so like. Those are those thoughts went through my mind, and that was literally the first ones that came to mind. It's like, that is, to accuse me of being intellectually lazy for saying all drugs are legal is like, I don't know, the most intellectually lazy position really is that drugs should be, like, whatever the current status quo is what should continue. Although I guess in today's, I guess you would be more saying like a 90s status quo is what this guy would probably say. I don't know. Either way, I'm saying like that's just the standard establishment kind of take on drugs, or at least the establishment take that you had growing up as a child. I guess it's changed since then. I don't know. It's just kind of really just what you were force-fed, like propaganda throughout your life. Like that's just what you heard in the ether. Like I don't know. That takes zero effort to learn. That's just literally just reflexive mimetic behavior of just your environment. That's all that is. Like I don't know. Like, good for you. Congrats, you exist. I don't know. You picked up on thoughts around you and clearly didn't think deep about them. Or I guess to be fair, I'm not saying you clearly didn't think deep about them, but that position on its face is the position that people come to without thinking about it. So I don't know. Yeah. Midwit's going to Midwit. Imagine justifying a police state in prison industrial complex just because you're scared you'll smoke weed if you're allowed to. Original Pistolero. I'll be on. By the way, I'm not trying to be mean to my audience. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be a dick. It's just you spurked me a little bit. This is part of why this, like, I'm debating whether I want to make this a thing. Because I don't know if I want to bring that negativity in the world, but I will, and it's also just kind of like the idea of like, I've done this too many times when you're on like Twitter and you're arguing with like a 5-follower account and you're like, why am I doing this? Like, why? It's the same idea. If I do this, I'm going to create a perpetuating thing, but maybe every now and then, especially at least for these morning ones, just to get you guys keeping coming. Maybe I'll argue with one of you guys. All right. Alan says, I have a soft drug policy for myself: weed, booze, maybe mushrooms if I'm camping. But I don't get to choose what other people do with their body, and I don't think the state has any more right than I do. Yep. Did you see what I posted in your? Dang it. Dang, I accidentally clicked out of the channel. From Grug Daddy Falcor, did you see what I posted on your channel in the Tower Gang Telegram that caused Clint to quit? No, I've actually been really, really slacking about paying attention to the Tower Gang Telegram. Sorry. If anyone's been using that morning dump tab, I'm sorry. I poke in it occasionally, and it doesn't seem like you guys use it that much, which makes sense. It's not even my Telegram. It's Tower Gang Telegram. But I don't know. You guys can use that. I mean, if you put something for me specifically, which it sounds like it didn't, you're just talking about the Clint stuff that happened, let me know, and I'll check in there every now and then. But anyways, unleash as needed. Fuck it, light these niggas up. Good morning, Tyler. Good morning. What's up? All right, let's go ahead and get into the first major topic of the day. This is what is. Sorry if you heard that beep. I forgot to do the appropriate turn the sound off on my phone before we started. So sorry. Extremely unprofessional of me. All right, one second. Let me make sure that doesn't happen again. All right, let's go. All right, Merrick Garland. The Merrick Garland be prison. No, just recently, Merrick Garland stepped down or whatever prior to Trump coming in, obviously. And I've talked about this on my show. We talked about my Oklahoma City bombing series. But Richard Booth recently wrote up a good little piece on this. And, once again, I like to try to spotlight his stuff if I can. This is his Substack, which I highly recommend. Go check it out, OKC Facts on Substack or okcfacts.substack.com. But this is a piece he wrote recently after Merrick Garland stepped out. It's a little bit of old news. It's about a week ago. Whatever. But Merrick Garland stepping down, and this is him kind of his write-up on why he should be in prison. For those who aren't aware, Merrick Garland played a big part in the Oklahoma City bombing. So we will go into that a little bit here. All right. Merrick Garland is no longer Attorney General. Good riddance. He was a Clinton-era swamp creature and apparatchik who earned his chits by participating in a high-level cover-up, the April 19th, 1995 Oklahoma City bombing. I would not be a lone voice in calling that investigation and subsequent prosecutions a cover-up. Janie Colson, the FBI's on-scene commander for the Oklahoma City bombing crime scene, described the OK bomb investigation in 2004, saying there are some unanswered questions here. A lot of things happened that were inappropriate, Colson said. I think it needs to be reopened, but I don't think it should be reopened by the FBI. It needs to be a special investigator, a lawyer, totally independent. He needs to have subpoena power and the ability to use a grand jury. Clearly, Merrick Garland's Department of Justice failed their duty, and what we received can thusly only be considered a cover-up with Garland's actions front and center on day one, which this is particularly incredibly interesting. Once again, to reiterate, Danny Colson, that was the dude who was running the investigation, essentially. Obviously, he has bosses above him, which I would assume Merrick Garland would probably fall within that hierarchy within the DOJ, since the FBI falls under the DOJ. But yes, so just so you're right. So the guy running the investigation has made comments about how it needs to be reopened, and that it made point to say, and it shouldn't be the FBI running it. And he was the FBI running it as the guy in charge. So, yes. All right, Garland oversaw the case with the DOJ, starting by flying out to Oklahoma in mid-April 1995 to prepare for the upcoming April 27th, 1995 preliminary hearing. That hearing was to show the U.S. government had cause to prosecute Timothy McVeigh and others unknown, as the federal indictments would seem responsible. Man, I don't think I ever noticed how quickly, or made note of how quickly that went down. That's April 27th. The attack happened on 19th. So, geez, within 8 days, I don't think I've ever, for some reason, I don't know if I noticed it, or maybe I did and I just didn't think about it, but I didn't realize literally within 8 days, they already had him up for, what is it called? The federal indictments, is what it's called. Yeah, that's wild. Okay, no, the preliminary hearing. That's what they had him for, the preliminary hearing. They already had him in court for that. That's quick. That's super quick. That sounds quick to me. During that hearing, Garland failed his duties to the victims of the bombing. He failed by trying to hide the existence of one of the others unknown that the federal indictment, the DOJ, was tasked with apprehending and prosecuting. One must ask why. The following is excerpted from a transcript of the hearing, an exchange where Merrick Garland wants to hide the fact that Tim McVeigh was seated in the bomb-laden rider truck with a passenger. Passenger who, to this day, has never been identified, much less prosecuted. Appropriately, the judge overruled the objection because it lacked any legal foundation nor merit. It was, in fact, contrary to what the wheels of justice would have called for. Again, one must ask why. Mr. Coyle, Did you tell me he saw occupants of a Ryder truck and there were more than one? Mr. Garland. Objection. The only person on trial in this hearing is Mr. McVeigh. It doesn't matter whether there were 2 or 100 people in that truck, as long as there was somebody representing McVeigh there. It is discovery and totally outside the scope of this hearing. Mr. Coyle, may I respond? I think it is important to see if we distinguish it as the same truck or not. I think it is very important to the credibility of the witnesses and credibility of the evidence and what they saw as to whether or not the next person saw 3 or 5 or 6 or the court. Objection overruled. Go ahead. And then Mr. Hersley says, this witness advised that there were 2 individuals in the truck. The individual resembling Mr. McVeigh was the driver, which, by the way, Mr. Hersley is a fellow FBI agent. Maybe they'll go into that in a second. But yes, so even to his own chagrin, it seemed like he kind of just had to answer it. He's on the stand, and clearly Garland is trying to prevent this question from being asked. Garland would not have feared venturing into the others unknown that the federal indictment declared were responsible if his goal were to transparently and thoroughly seek justice for the bombing victims. The fact that Garland tried to hide anything about one of the perpetrators is striking. While Garland later said, we did everything we could to find every person who was involved, his actions say much more than his hollow words. Now this is the point where I know this is a thing brought up frequently, typically by Richard and like Ken and stuff, and it is a fair point to be had. Now, what I would say is the argument that I usually comes to my head is kind of like, well, it makes sense from a legal. I would assume legally speaking, it would make sense to be like, I don't want to talk about these other people. Like he was there to prosecute McVeigh. So like the idea of like trying to obfuscate things and talk about these other people, I can kind of understand. Somewhat. I mean, I know you're in the chat, Tyler, so maybe you can tell me otherwise. Maybe I'm wrong. But that's just kind of like what seems correct to me. But now to then say later at some point some bullshit like, oh, we did everything we could. No, you didn't. You literally did the opposite. You stopped it. Like, and I can understand maybe why you, as a prosecutor, prosecuting a single individual in a specific instance would do that. But then to say later that we did everything. No, you quite literally prevented, or tried to prevent it. So I know. Garland's witness, meanwhile, did make it clear that others were involved, more than twice during the preliminary hearing. FBI Special Agent John Hersley stated as much. He described his role as coordinating the efforts of other FBI offices in the ongoing investigation in an attempt to identify the additional people that were involved in the bombing. That would be 4 to 5 other people, which, by the way, that would perfectly describe the ARA. The FBI believed were behind the plot as reported in the LA Times the day after the preliminary hearing. In addition to rendering counterintuitive objections about the perpetrators of the worst domestic terror attack in U.S. history, Garland would also jump out of his seat and object anytime surveillance tape of the bombing or the perpetrators likely caught in the act was mentioned. One must ask, why? The following passage from the hearing shows Garland again trying to hide crucial evidence of a larger plot. Mr. Coyle, who are those agents that are tasked with the responsibility of reviewing photographs and film footage? Objection, Your Honor. This is now purely speculative. That's Garland. The court overruled. Mr. Hersley, the agent that showed me the photographs was Walt Lamar. In this case, Garland falsely asserted FBI Special Agent John Hersley would only be speculating if he were to name the agent tasked with reviewing videotapes, which I would say, that sounds retarded to me. That would not be speculating if that's something you know. However, previous testimony from the witness had already established this fact that Hersley was given still frame images extracted from video by the agent tasked with reviewing the surveillance footage. I guess not to back up, speculating. I guess if you were just guessing based on your knowledge of how this entity works, who would be the person, then sure, that'd be speculating, but it doesn't sound like that's the case. So why was Garland trying to hide this information using a weak and false exclusive, I think the typo, excuse about it being speculative, which was again rightly overruled? We must ask why. In 2020, I, Richard Booth, made a Freedom of Information Act request to the Clinton Library for a copy of the U.S. Secret Service White House visitor logs. The USSS maintained a system called Waves, where every person entering the White House was logged, and their destination was also logged. I received the records in 2021 once COVID restrictions at the library were lifted. What I was shocked to find was that late in the evening of April 26th, the day prior to the preliminary hearing in Oklahoma, where Garland was to be the chief attorney arguing, Garland had a face-to-face meeting with FLOTUS, First Lady of the United States, Hillary Clinton. The reason I was shocked is because Merrick Garland had been in Oklahoma for several days preparing for what was the biggest legal assignment in his career. Indeed, the most important proceeding in the country at that time. Yet, for some strange reason, he flew to Washington, D.C. on April 26 to attend a personal meeting with Hillary Clinton, which, what did we say, was 8 days? So, it was the 27th. So, this is the day prior. It already says in the previous paragraph. The day before it. So, he flew up to Washington, D.C. from Oklahoma the day prior and then flew back the next day. So, in and out, basically. You could have called her on the phone. However, evidently, whatever they needed to discuss was so my tongue. It was so sensitive that it could not be discussed on the phone. Later news reports would reveal that at the time, the White House's phone system was tapped and surveilled by the Israelis, something that the Clintons would have been briefed about when it was discovered. After Garland has late-night meeting with Hillary, he flew back to Oklahoma, where on the following day, he tried to hide the existence of John Doe No. 2 and surveillance tapes of the bombing showing the perpetrators. We must ask, why? And that's the end of that. Let me pop back into the chat. Let me see. Boo, boo, boo. All right. Fuck it. All right. Woke up. This is from Tyler, and I thought it was Monday and started getting ready for work with 2 court hearings. Wife said Sunday. I can't tell you what a good mood I'm in today now. And you're here. So hell yeah. Who would ever trust a Merrick from Just Out? Yeah, who would trust a Merrick? That is a weird ass name. You don't name kids Merrick. That's fucking weird. Just kidding. I didn't like the kid sniffing. Oh, am I sniffling? I'm sorry. My bad. Did I sniff? I don't know why. I woke up with like a runny nose. My bad. I'm trying to keep it from leaking. My bad. I'm sorry if that's what you're referring to. All right, let's get into. Here's another one. This is another one from Richard Booth. Now, I don't remember when. Recently, I was talking to somebody, and we were talking about the cover up with Carol Howe and who bought film rights to the story, and I couldn't remember who it was. And I'm pretty sure Richard saw that episode. I think he even made comments on Twitter, and I guess he even made a quick little write-up. This is way shorter. This is like a paragraph or two. But this is to clear up. I can't remember when I said this, but just to clear up, a backup, to stand up for myself a little bit here. I did say I'm not sure. Think it might be this guy or that guy. I swear I said it was like some sort of like British guy, I think, which I think the Emanuels are. So I wasn't entirely wrong. Rahm Emanuel is the one, or brother is the one who did it. So yeah. Here we go. Ari Emanuel, brother to Democratic apparatchik Rahm Emanuel, purchased the film rights to the Carol Howe story sometime after Tim McVeigh's 2001 execution. This fact was shared with me by legendary researcher Roger Charles, who passed away in 2022. Charles asked, why did an Uber prog buy the rights but never used them? Journalist Jonathan Franklin, who I had on recently, and you should totally check that out. And I actually just emailed him yesterday, and I'm going to have him on again sometime soon, but with Richard Booth. So we're going to do a Richard Booth, Jonathan Franklin, and me episode at some time in the near future. So hang out for that. Definitely go check out the first one. Jonathan Franklin, really interesting guy, and one of the few people who interviewed Timothy McVeigh in prison. He dubbed it catch and kill, which is an industry covert technique usually employed by tabloid newspapers to prevent an individual from publicly revealing damaging information to a third party. Ari Emanuel is the CEO of Endeavor, an entertainment and media agency. He bought those rights to ensure no film was ever made about Carol Howe vis-a-vis the OKC bombing. He did this for the Clinton family, according to Roger. That alone should tell us a lot. But yeah, so that's that. So thank you for clearing that up for me. I almost said Roger. Booth. Well, I can't think of what his fucking first name is now. Richard, there we go. But yeah, going back all these years later, you really can see how many people got promoted for covering this stuff up from Doc Tory. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, this is you really can see when you look at who handled a lot of the cover up of the Trinidad side of things. God, I'm going to start not Garland. Who's the other? God dang it, I can't think of it. It's going to really bug me. I started saying I couldn't think of his name. Trinidad, dang it. Who is the Fast and Furious guy? I forget his name. Eric Holder, I think. Eric Holder. I want to say that's right. Eric Holder. I'm going to look it up right now just to be sure that I'm not saying something stupid, because I do that. Yes, Eric Holder, former, the black looking dude. The dude who looks like I don't know, like he'd be a black dude who owned like a fried chicken company or something. Yeah, he's Eric Holder Jr., kind of like a Barack Obama looking type dude. I don't know, not even like a Barack Obama. He's got like the mustache, kind of the old style, like Family Matters type of vibe. I don't know, but anyways, yes. Vin Diesel is what Pistillero says. I don't know. I wouldn't say it looks like Vin Diesel. But all right, guys, let's get into some more stuff. All right, guys, this is I don't know what to make of this one because I don't know where this is going. But Angela McArdle, she is stepping down as a chair. This is her statement on her way out. This is Angela McArdle saying, I'm taking on a new opportunity soon that will make it impossible for me to stay on as chair, so I am resigning. I am very grateful that I was able to help facilitate Ross's full pardon and release from prison before I left. And I will have a longer statement soon about my experience as chair and gratitude for the people who helped me accomplish so much in my 2 terms. I will continue to work closely with staff in the next few weeks to make sure we have a strong successorship, brand identity, and a political strategy for the coming year. I will continue to support Mises' chair with his fundraising efforts for as long as I can. And I would love to see him or Josiah Baker, the Tennessee chair, elevated to LNC chair or other board positions. Now, thoughts on this? Anyone's following me along? I told you for a long time. You guys know, especially the first 100 episodes of the show, we talked a lot more about this sort of stuff. But because I feel like when you cover, I will say Angela, her mutuals, I'm gonna say we're like close friends or anything. Every interaction I don't recall even really having any negative interactions. She's definitely done things I disagree with, minutia of this and that. And if you've been around for the trip from like episode 1, you've definitely heard about all these different things. So if anything, I probably have been noted by a lot of people by being almost sort of contentious with the the LPMC and the LP in general, or political action. But all in all, I don't know. She's, so far as like her time as running chair, I'd say if I'm comparing, I'd say generally kind of better. You guys, I don't generally agree the best path forward is, engaging in political action. It's not to say political action doesn't exist. And I don't believe in it existing. It exists. It's going to exist. But if you're going to, probably the way to go. Almost even better. I don't know what she's, riding this wave off into. I will say this may be kind of a cynical way to look at political involvement, but as fucked up as it may be, I've kind of come to the position, the more I've thought about it, really one of the only reasonable things to do with it is to kind of if you're going to go that route, is to leverage it for some sort of future something or other. That's kind of what politics is in general. You leverage one political position to another, but if you keep involved in that game, it just gets grosser and grosser and grosser. But what I'm saying is you ride that wave off into something else, off into the sunset. For example, the dissident media stuff. They mentioned Mises' chair here. Which I don't know if I guess they're not. I guess he has a different Twitter now. But his last Twitter account, they swapped it over from you. They swapped his account into the dissident media account, which is going to be, they're planning to make that sort of like a media apparatus. Not as far as I know, not explicitly LP associated or to be with the LP, but obviously, let's be real. Some influence was transferred, essentially used as currency to, kind of move over to this other thing. And I'm perfectly, if you're going to do it, fine. I guess if there's some sort of, it's kind of the idea of elevating the message or whatever. So I don't know what she's going on to next. So I guess that kind of would kind of obviously shade my opinion on this, but I don't know. Cool. She's done a lot of cool shit while she's been in the. I am of the agreement that the Trump thing coming to the LP I know a lot of people had issues with that. They're like, why would you do that? I don't even understand why the fuck you would have an issue with it. It makes no sense to me. But I thought that was great. Obviously, the Ross stuff is great. So all in all, if you're going to go this route, hats off. I look at it more of a low time preference thing. And I think in the, involving yourselves in these political games, I think in the very long arc of history, it's just kind of it's either working against you or running in place. You're better off just kind of going through private routes, kind of the media or whatever. But I do think there's something to kind of leveraging it, I guess. And you could almost call it grifting, but I don't know. Whatever is it? Look at, let's say dissident media becomes this thing years from now, kind of like the Blaze, and they're kind of spreading our opinions. I'm kind of glad that grifting kind of happened, sort of. Whatever. Cool. That worked, I guess. I don't know. I guess this is something that all my thoughts will be a little bit more established once we see what she goes to. But all in all, I kind of got to give my hats off to her. I mean, I generally think she probably did better than any other chair that I know of. So cool. Good on you, Angela. But all right, let's pop back on the chat. See if you guys have any thoughts. LPR says, I worked with Angela directly in California a bit. I was impressed if there was a leader. She has those skills. She said she did an interview with Reasons just days ago saying she won't run for LP because she wants to have more kids and be home, but wondering if she got a spot in Trump's cabinet. I don't know. I mean, me and you, Tyler, we know things. We know people getting in the cabinet. So just saying, I don't know. That's at first I kind of was like, no. Then I realized like being in the cabinet does not mean you literally have like a high up cabinet position. I wouldn't be surprised if she ended it. That's why I said like it kind of shaded my opinion. I don't know. I mean, I might have mixed feelings if she ends up with some fucking bureaucratic position somewhere. I mean, even then, I guess it kind of depends on the position. So I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. But if anything, I kind of hoping she pulls like a dissident and like, you know, leverages it into something else, something along those lines. I mean, she's not like an entertainment personality. Like she would never be like one running a show, in my opinion. I mean, she would do all right at it. I'm not saying she's bad. It just doesn't seem to be like right up her alley, if that makes sense. So I don't know. So I don't really know what you do other than like managing it. So I don't know. We'll see. Really, are you not discuss the fact that she's being credibly accused of embezzlement? No, I'm not, because I genuinely don't give a flying fuck. There you go. Off topic from Xerox says someone in the Dangerous Retards chat said he hated BX because she went after his friends from the Mises Caucus. Do you know what he may have been talking about? I have no fucking idea. I don't really. I generally stay out of drama on Twitter, and the very rare time I pop into drama, it's just to pop a little headshot and then bounce out. That's generally about it. I don't like hanging out doing that gay shit. That's about it. I was being a little glib there. The embezzlement thing, I don't know anything about that. I mean, that was kind of like me being a little silly, but I kind of really don't care. I mean, I guess I care. Like if I do find out tomorrow that that is for real, that she did embezzle, then yeah, that's not cool because she's taking funds from somebody, it's using it elsewhere. Now, what are we talking about? Are we talking about like some sort of? I've seen little bits and pieces of some LP people screeching she improperly followed some guideline or this or that. Like if this is some bureaucratic bullshit of like, oh, she didn't dot this I or cross this T, then no, I genuinely don't give a flying fuck. If it's I don't know. I've seen people complaining. I haven't seen anything that seemed substantive to me, although I haven't really looked into it. So I don't know if that's the case. Not cool. I'm not a fan of stealing. I don't know. But even then, it seems like a gray area when you're dealing with a political apparatus, and it's like, what do you mean? Are you just saying that like, oh, well, we didn't go through the proper channels or whatever fucking thing to do X thing? I don't know. It's just too much bureaucratic nonsense to keep track of. All right, on to the last major topic. You know, when I say major topics, the ones that are in the title. Trump. This is about Zelensky passing on the deal. It's from Kyle Anzalone. So President Donald Trump put some blame on Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky for choosing to fight Russia rather than make a deal. In April of 2022, Zelensky had nearly completed negotiations with Russian President Vladimir Putin when members of NATO pushed Kyiv to fight rather than sign the agreement. Look, Zelensky was fighting a much bigger entity, much bigger, much more powerful. He shouldn't have done that because we could have made a deal, and it would have been a deal that would have been a nothing deal. Trump told Fox News host Sean Hannity on Thursday. By the way, this is why maybe I should at least skim these, because this is not what I thought, and I'm going to totally change this to one of the main title ones, because this is just referring to an older one. But either way, it's still, I think, a good sign that we have... I was thinking this was like a current thing, like it recently happened, but it's just Trump talking shit about how he didn't take a deal when he should have taken a deal. But either way, I think this is good. This isn't pointing to the negative things I was talking about, alluded to at the beginning of the show. If anything, this is a positive side of Trump where he's pointing out like, hey, this guy should have taken the deal before, yet here he is. So Trump may be referring to the negotiations that nearly ended the Russian invasion of Ukraine within the first 2 months. Under that deal, Russian forces would have withdrawn from Ukraine, including the Donbass, if Kyiv would never join NATO and committed to some demilitarization. During the interview, Trump indicated that he would have taken the deal. I could have made that deal so easily, and Zelensky decided that I want to fight, he said. Trump went on to say his predecessor, Joe Biden, did a horrible job by allowing the war to start. He's also playing the blame on Putin, noting he shouldn't have invaded. Let's see if there's any other quotes in here. Trump says Zelensky will negotiate an end to the war. Now wants to negotiate into the war. Zelensky, I will say this. He wants to settle now. He's had enough. He shouldn't have allowed this to happen either, the president said. So if anything, it actually sounds like he's saying Zelensky's open to it now, so that's positive. Putin has largely kept his demands consistent throughout the war. The Kremlin wants a U.S. pledge that Ukraine never joins NATO, limits on what Western arms are sent to Kyiv, and recognition of Ukrainian territory annexed by Moscow. At the start of the conflict, Russia had only annexed Crimea. Since then, Moscow has also held referendums and seized 4 additional Ukrainian oblasts. Trump refused to tell Hannity if he had spoken with Putin. He did say he wanted to bring the war to an end as quickly as possible, claiming millions would die. We're dying. It's got to end. Those are human beings that are being slaughtered on the battlefield, he said. Which, once again, I mean, I don't know. It's hard not to see that he's one of the few presidents that actually says shit like this. Like, oh, geez, these are humans. Like, I don't know. If anything, it seems like in the past it's almost been more of a dehumanization campaign when it comes to anyone other than Americans. Really, you would only see these sort of talking points when it's referenced to, like, look at all the troops that are being killed, of our troops that are being killed in X conflict. If anything, that would be the... But, I mean, there could be, a few dozen troops that die in a conflict and have tens of thousands of the enemy die, and you're never going to hear people, essentially mourn over the death of the other side. They will only mourn of their own, which, I mean, I guess people wouldn't, say like, oh, that makes sense. And you're like, well, not really. I mean, if you really start thinking about it, you're like, well, these are people dying. And like, if you think about the motivations on each side, I mean, I don't know, whatever the given conflict is, very rarely is it just like someone's like, you know what I really want to do? I want to do evil. So I'm going to go do evil, and I'm going to try to kill people, and that's the enemy. Like, we're talking, like, no, these people have their own motivations, own reasons. A lot of times we're the fucking, if anything, a lot of times we're the aggressors. So it's like, I don't know. I mean, if you really start thinking about it, it's like, these are people that are dying in mindless violence. So, all right. Now this is what I think I will end up changing the topic over to, because I actually found this like last minute. The White House is in talks to have Oracle and U.S. investors to take over TikTok. So that'll probably be the other main topic, since the Zelensky one was a little wrong, a little clickbaity, a little. I should have skimmed that article first. But yes, we're gonna go with that. This is kind of wild, especially if you understand what Oracle is, the implications of its connections to the Intel world. What's going on with TikTok? You're like, what the, for real? Really? No, okay, we're gonna have China can't have TikTok, even though they don't really have TikTok, but the CIA can. Yeah, get the fuck out of here. All right, let's pop in off topic. All right, breaking news: political figure does corrupt things. This is from Schrodinger in other news. Corn Pop says, I don't think political activists like Angela and Michael are doing it for the money. If they are doing it wrong. Yes, I don't think they are either. Like, I don't think there's really that much money to put there. I mean, there's better things they could be doing. Although I think if you're going to be doing it, you almost should be doing it for the grift, I guess is the way to say it. But when I say grift, is to leverage it into something else. The great example is the dissident one, like a media company or something that you can use to further this message. And like, yeah, I mean, money's not inherently a bad thing. Like, that's what you use to provide for yourself. It's like, it's all it is a thing that stores value. Like, it's just currency. I mean, it's just simply a thing that expresses value. That's all it is. So, I don't think there's anything wrong with necessarily getting it if they're using that for money. I mean, I guess it depends on what you mean by, like, you can still be trying to get money out of it. That's not bad. I don't know. I'm kind of rambling here. Thanks for the input, Jose from Xerox. We just told him he probably shouldn't be friends with people who were targeted by a lady known for investigating satanic pedophiles, LMAO. I mean, I don't know. She could be completely in the wrong there. I have no idea the ins and outs there. I'm not jumping to anyone's side there. I don't know. I have no idea. All right, look at that. Libertarians were right. The TikTok ban wasn't about data scraping. It was about controlling info flow, right? So what's up, y'all, from Jay Brooks? What's up, dude? Alan's saying it would be nice to see Michael Malice in a congressional meeting and have it be live streamed. Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I mean, like, I guess that'd be cool. I haven't really watched much of him lately. But all right, on to this White House one, on this TikTok story, because this is wild to me. I mean, I did tell you guys yesterday I wanted to really get into the Oracle, Ellison. I only have like one other thing for you guys after this, and it's still not quite exactly in the vein I want to. I kind of want to find something that digs into the origins. So if any of you guys out there are aware of any Oracle, or not Oracles, but any articles, threads, etc., clips, whatever that would be useful for me and the audience to kind of learn more about Oracle, this Ellison fella, Altman, was it the OpenAI, like all the different stuff, because there's definitely a lot to be learned there, and I definitely kind of, it's just now entering my consciousness. So because I'm not really a tech guy, so I have not been paying attention to Oracle. But the more I'm looking into it, I'm like, holy fuck, this shit glows so fucking bright. And it is weird. But anyways, let's get into it. The Trump administration is working on a plan to save TikTok that involves tapping software company Oracle and a group of outside investors to effectively take control of the app's global operations, according to two people with direct knowledge of the talks. I would like to know who those outside investors are. Under the deal now being negotiated by the White House, TikTok's China-based owner ByteDance would retain a majority stake in the company, but the app's algorithm, data collection, and software updates will be overseen by Oracle, which already provides the foundation of TikTok's web infrastructure. I didn't know that it provided the foundation. I don't know what that means. But okay. That would effectively mean American investors would own a majority stake in TikTok, but the terms of the deal could change and are still being hammered out. It's kind of wild it's being used for the foundation. I don't know. I guess maybe that's not that crazy. I need to know more about tech shit, really, in general. All right. The goal is for Oracle to effectively monitor and provide oversight with what is going on with TikTok. And the person directly involved in the talks, who was not authorized to speak publicly about the deliberations. ByteDance wouldn't completely go away, but would minimize Chinese ownership. And NPR has agreed not to name the sources who were not authorized to speak publicly about the confidential talks. So, all right, here we go. Just that sentence right there is saying nothing about this is legit, unconfident or unnamed, a anonymous source, or not even, I guess, a protected source. So that's what it's based off of. This could be complete bullshit, but you know what? This totally makes sense. But all right. Other potential investors who engaged in talks include Microsoft. Back in 2020, Trump gave his blessing to a TikTok takeover attempt involving Oracle and Walmart that eventually fell apart. Man, what a perfect little metaphor for fucking for America. TikTok owned by Oracle and Walmart. A source close to the discussion said the retailer is, at this point, sitting out after balking at the estimated price of the viral video app. Okay. I don't know who the retailer is. Maybe that's Walmart. I would assume that's what they say when they say the retailer. That would make sense. Officials from Oracle and the White House held a meeting on Friday about a potential deal, and another meeting has been scheduled for next week. According to the source involved in the discussions, who said Oracle is interested in a TikTok stake in the tens of billions, but the rest of the deal is in flux. Spokespeople for Microsoft and Walmart declined to comment. TikTok, Oracle, and the White House did not return a request for comment, which, this is, the timing of this too is like I don't even think it's technically Oracle. I don't remember if it's Oracle or if it's OpenAI, although I think Oracle used OpenAI. I don't know. Either way, I'm pretty sure that same group basically, forget which specific nerd fucking shit, but I think they're all basically connected. Oracle, OpenAI, Altman and Ellison, I think, are somehow all connected. Once again, I need to dig into this. I need to dig into this. So once again, please, if you guys have know of anywhere, we're going to do that later. Maybe tomorrow. It's going to be a short one tomorrow, by the way, because I gotta pick up my wife from the airport. But it'll probably be around an hour tomorrow. But if we can find like a short article to cover, that'd be great. But we definitely need to dig into that. But anyways, my thought, I was just thinking, as I was thinking, kind of rambling there. What I was trying to get at is the idea that they just came up with a come up of like what, 500 billion, I think, is what supposedly the government's going to be giving them to start their, what is it called? Their Stargate project or whatever, fucking creepy name. And they got what, 500 billion, and now this money, now Oracle's using tens of billions for TikTok. I don't know. I'm just saying it's kind of weird. Kind of, they enrich themselves and kind of then further, infiltrate. I don't know. Anyways, while estimates vary on how much TikTok's global business is worth, negotiators in the White House have said ByteDance believes it could fetch at least $200 billion, putting it well outside the reach of any of the consortium of investors who have been promoting their bids, according to the source involved in discussions. Another person who sat in on conversations with senior White House officials about a TikTok deal said appeasing Congress is seen as a key hurdle. Under a law passed by Congress and upheld by the Supreme Court, TikTok must execute what is known as a qualified divestiture from ByteDance in order to stay in business in the U.S. Trump in the U.S. Trump is given wide latitude to interpret what that means, but experts say it could involve ByteDance retaining a minority stake in the company. The app has passed its January 19th deadline for achieving that splitting off from ByteDance, but President Trump has issued an executive order intended to provide a 75-day extension, though legal experts say the action cannot supersede the now passed deadline set forth by Congress. Well, it sounds like they kind of fucking did, so whatever. Although maybe that ends up going to some other court. So I guess what that implies is that the TikTok could fall through at any point, theoretically. I'm assuming that means it could go pass up to some other court and it could fall through. So sorry, Zoomers, or whoever's into TikTok, I guess. It is still on the chopping block is what that paragraph kind of implies to me. A congressional staffer involved in talks about TikTok's future, who was not authorized to speak publicly, said binding legal agreements from the White House ensuring ByteDance cannot covertly manipulate the app will prove critical in winning lawmakers' approval. A key part is showing there is no operational relationship with ByteDance, that they do not have control, the congressional staffer said. There needs to be no backdoors where China can potentially gain access. Here's a picture of Oracle Chairman and Chief Technology Officer Larry Ellison. This fucking spook. Just look at him. He looks like a fucking spook. He looks like some weird elite fucking tech spook. That's exactly what he looks like. Fears about China. Limiting all potential ways for Chinese authorities to accept. Let me see how long this is first off. All right, we're almost there. I just make sure this wasn't like super long. Limiting all potential ways for Chinese authorities to access TikTok data and algorithm has been a concern among technology experts for years. The question that has always been difficult to answer is, how do you prove a negative? How do you prove the absence of Chinese control of data and the algorithm, said Sarah Krebs, who focuses on technology and foreign policy at the Brookings Institution. You can audit millions of lines of code, but it's really hard to show one way or the other. A national security plan that also involved Oracle, known as Project Texas, which gained momentum during the Biden administration, fell short of guaranteeing TikTok's independence from ByteDance, the staffer noted, but would not elaborate, saying it involves a security vulnerability that would have given China access to data of American users. I mean, with this whole data thing, and the point this one lady makes about it's kind of proving a negative thing, it's kind of the same. This, now that I'm thinking about it, like, it's borderline unprovable except once you have it. Like, essentially, once you found that needle in the haystack, then you can go, oh, there's a needle in a haystack. But until then, you're like, there could be no needle in this haystack. Like, you don't fucking know. That's the same idea here. It's almost an unknown, and it reminds me kind of a lot of, like, basically so many ops, when it comes to, your best example probably be COVID, kind of the invisible killer, like this like, I guess there's some level of credibility to it. And it's kind of like, same thing here. It's like this invisible thing. They're stealing your data. And you're like, I don't know, maybe they are. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they are, but we also don't fucking know that they are. And, this is just going to go over to Oracle, and now it's an American-owned business, and it's honestly just as likely that now data is going to be stolen from America. So, really, this just comes down to, China can't have the data. Well, we need to have the data. And even though really what's going to happen is now China and us have the data, and even though probably honestly currently, I wouldn't be surprised if now China and us have the data as well. It just maybe this makes it easier. Anyways, all right. National security plan. All right, a national security plan that also involved Oracle, known as Project Texas, which gained momentum during the Biden administration, fell short of guaranteeing TikTok's independence from ByteDance, the staffer noted, but would not elaborate, saying it involves a security vulnerability that would have given China access to the data of American users. The Project Texas proposal to eventually collapsed when Biden officials instead chose to get behind a congressional effort to force ByteDance to sell TikTok or face a nationwide ban. In April, Congress attached a divest or ban measure to a foreign aid bill. Biden signed the bill. It gave ByteDance until January 19th to shed its Chinese owner. We gave them 9 months to figure out a way to sell, the congressional staffer said, but instead decided to fight it in court rather than working towards divestiture. Opening up TikTok. One thing is unclear. What exactly Trump means when he has said that the U.S. should be entitled to a 50% ownership of TikTok. I also just, I got to point out that, the idea that, we can just say that just willy-nilly, some private institution that the U.S. that needs to be a U.S.-owned company that owns 50%. Just so arbitrary. It is very, kind of ominous if you really, extrapolate from there. What is that? That could theoretically mean that, any company that comes and does anything in the United States, that, there needs to be a 50% control by a United States, somebody or other. I don't know. It's Makes no fucking sense. Some of them suggest this means Trump is pushing for a partial nationalization of TikTok. Others have chalked it up to imprecise language for a situation in which American private investors hold a 50% ownership stake in the company. Nobody seems to know what he means with the 50% equity comments, the source involved in the talk said. The funny thing is, if this article is correct, it's kind of both. Because now you have this Oracle company, which is, I believe, in my understanding, they are essentially a private company, but they have so many goddamn government contracts. It's like, dude, they just what the $500 billion we were just talking about recently that to do Project Stargate like these, like, I mean, yeah, that's probably going to be both. It's probably going to be essentially both in a certain sense. It's technically going to be owned by a private company, while in reality being owned by the government. So, Chinese regulators who have for years opposed to selling TikTok recently signaled that they would not stand in the way of TikTok ownership change, saying acquisitions should be independently decided by the enterprises and based on market principles. Holy shit, China sounds more capitalistic than we do. The statement at first does not seem to say much, but negotiators in the White House believes and it indicates that Beijing is not planning to block a deal that gives American investors a majority stake position in the company. I don't know how they would get that from that. If anything, that sounds like the exact fucking opposite, because this is not based on market principles and this is not independently decided by the enterprises. So I don't know how anyone would take that excerpt from a sentence and then, from there go, sounds like they want to work with us. No, that sounds like a backhanded way of saying you guys are being cunts and this is not how things are supposed to be done. But whatever, I don't know. China experts have said Beijing may be interested in approving a TikTok sale as a negotiating tactic to try to win tariff relief in the White House. Meanwhile, Apple and Google still have not returned TikTok to app stores after the platform went offline for about 14 hours. Without Apple and Google support, the app is derived of software updates. It also cannot be downloaded on Apple devices or found in the Google Play App Store. Trump's executive order was enough for Oracle and other web infrastructure companies to restore TikTok services, but other companies are not taking a gamble, including Apple and Google. Under the TikTok ban, supporting TikTok while it remains under the control of ByteDance can lead to hundreds of billions of dollars in fines, a punishment that can be levied a year after Trump's term. That's kind of wild. Oracle just has more confidence in Trump's political assurances, says Krebs at Bookings. I wonder why. For Apple and Google, yes, they were invited to the inauguration last week, but where will things stand next week? All right, that's the end of that one. Let's pop into you guys, see what you guys have to think. Hell yeah, Doctor. I see you in the chat coming up here with fucking articles and shit. Hell yeah, dude. Everything eventually will be owned by Taco Bell, says Corn Pop. Yeah, I like to think that that might be the case in the future. Schrodinger's fuckery says, to me, it feels naive to get upset over any political figure doing anything like embezzlement or skimming off the top. Honestly, as long as they're not fucking kids at this point, I really don't care. I mean, yeah, it's also, to some extent, there is some sort of like truth to that, where like, you took money, okay, from a third party. All right, I don't know. I have a bajillion other more interesting escapades going on in the world. So I don't know. It doesn't really merit a lot of my attention. So sorry for those who do believe it merits their attention, but maybe it does. Dr. Roy says Oracle and the CIA have a long-standing relationship that dates back to the early days of the company. Larry Ellison, the founder of Oracle, worked on a CIA project called Project Oracle. Holy shit. And then they make Oracle the private company. Wow. Didn't even really fucking try. In 2023, Oracle became the cloud operator for the DoD and Intel communities. Oh shit. So he runs like the cloud. So like that's like all their storage. All right, shit. And then you drop me a link. We'll definitely have to check that out. What do you think about the McAfee stuff recently? Oh, I actually had that saved to cover, and then I actually ended up deleting it out of it because it just kind of was a few days ago. Just kind of like whatever. So anyways, so McAfee stuff, for those who aren't aware, recently on McAfee's, actually, let me see if I can't find let me look up McAfee real quick. I'll show you what I mean. It'll be easier to show you. So give me 1 second. McAfee, John McAfee, official McAfee. Here we go. So here you go. Here's his account. Obviously McAfee, for those who aren't aware, he was what does he run? Antivirus, one of the major antivirus companies. I forget which one it was. Was it McAfee? Or I forget. Whatever. He was also known as just kind of being a weird, eccentric, millionaire. Maybe he's a billionaire. I think he was a millionaire. But he, did a lot of stuff in the Libertarian Party. He also was very much a libertarian guy, like super duper ANCAP. Like he essentially is what, like, that YouTube comment we had at the beginning of the show. Like John McAfee's kind of what that guy basically thinks I am. Like, I mean, like, don't get me wrong, McAfee could give you probably a very incredibly logical argument why you shouldn't make drugs illegal. But, like, he also would be the guy that would just, like, could probably just make up an argument because he wanted to do drugs. Because that's the kind of guy he is. Because, like, this dude was, like, banging hookers, doing, like, blow, heroin, like, living on a boat in the middle of the ocean. Like, just insane stuff. Like, insane millionaires, so, like, in and out of, like, foreign prisons, just not paying taxes, just insanity. But he died. I forget the specifics of his death. There's always this, like, rumor, like, did he die, did he not? And then recently, let me scroll down if I can find it. There's his, I believe his ex-wife, or actually wife. So let me see if I can find it. Boom, boom, boom. Damn it. Here we go. Boo, boo, boo. Sorry, my bad. I guess scroll up. Damn it. This broad retweeted a bunch of shit. But it's essentially, there was one that came in. There was a tweet that said something along the lines of, like, I'm back, or something along those lines. It, like, implied, like, there's going to be a version of him. It made it seem to a lot of people, the way it was framed was that he's, like, back alive type deal, like the way it was worded. And then come to find out, then apparently he's now doing an AI thing. So, like, there's this old video, like you can see right here, people were playing this. It was an old video. And a lot of people were falling for, oh shit, is he alive? No, this was kind of, there was a tweet. I'm still scrolling, man, it's way back there, because I guess essentially it's being run by an AI now. His wife essentially swapped this over to being run by an AI now. So I guess the shtick here is it's an AI that's supposed to mimic McAfee's behaviors and thoughts, etc., and essentially going to be taking over his Twitter account, which I'm still trying to scroll to find that initial tweet. So this AI is all about their retweets, I guess. Fucking A, dude. Retweeting old shit too. But anyways, if you go to, there's somewhere in there, just promise me, there is one that's like not promising me, but trust me, there is one in there but apparently that was like it seems like it was intentionally vague the way it was worded, but it also could be interpreted as like, oh, he's back in the AI sense or whatever. So it was kind of like a nothing burger. Interesting little, I mean, there is an interesting thought to be had here. Like, is it like this being a thing that goes on in the future? Kind of reminds me of like the discussions around when they brought back how can I not even think of her name? But the broad from Star Wars, the half naked chick every like 40-year-old dude had a crush on, Leia. I don't know, Carrie Fisher is her name? Yeah, Carrie Fisher. How they brought her back in one of the later trilogies or multiple ones. They brought her back even though she was dead. It's kind of the same idea. Like, what is it? What are our thoughts on this? I don't know. I mean, I think it's kind of interesting, I guess. I mean, although I'll be honest, I who the fuck's going to interact with, like, interact with AI regularly? I just feel like it's kind of an interesting little shtick. Maybe you could kind of be like, oh, what would McAfee think about X thing, and check over that. Cool, I guess. I mean, good for her. Glad she's keeping his memory alive. That's cool. I don't know. I don't really know what to think of it. I mean, it's interesting, I guess. But let's check in chat, see what you guys have to say. Carmen Cava says they already found the vulnerability a couple of years ago. I'm assuming you're referring to TikTok. It has a CVE number. Don't know what that means. Take your word for it. There's literally no way to protect your data if you want to live in a normal life in modern society from Schrodinger's fuckery. Yeah, that's kind of the way I look at it. Although, once again, I'm a tech retard, so that's just kind of the easiest way to look at it. Carmen says this one was remediate. It opened a backdoor and exhilarated all user keyboard input and could give hackers root access to phone. All right, I'm not surprised. I'm wondering how many they're out there. Saying remediated, I'm assuming I think that means that they fixed it. I'm assuming that's what we're saying. Eddie's saying morning boys. Exfiltrated? No, you changed the word again. That one was immediate. It opened or remediated. It opened a backdoor and exfiltrated. Oh, she's correcting her words. My bad. Okay, well, it sounds like they fixed that. Although it looks like it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be. I think we do a lot of the same shit in our stuff too. I remember I've gone on multiple fucking deep dives in the tech world, and I don't understand enough to really be able to tell you guys about it. I've listened to podcasts and stuff where they're talking about this same exact thing, but with U.S. stuff, so a lot there. It's not uncommon. I want to say this is like that CIA vault thing that dropped recently. I think it was macro aggressions that covered it a while back, and I remember listening to that, and they were that was where a lot of the CIA tech info dropped. And there was a lot in there about different, very popular applications that CIA had backdoors in. So how is that any different than what the fucking China is doing with TikTok? And why should I really prefer the CIA surveil me over China? Honestly, I kind of prefer China because China's not going to do anything to me. I mean, I'd rather a foreign entity that's going to do nothing to me than a domestic entity that can actually affect my life. So I don't know. Jose, do you have any concern getting deported? No, I do not. I've told you guys yesterday, this is a made-up name. I'm not even Hispanic. They create an AI meme coin apparently and attached to his account. Yep. It's an AI bot and crypto token. I didn't mean to share that. Sorry. I don't agree with that, just so you guys know. I mean, I don't have any problem with people. People having different colored wives, but whatever. I accidentally clicked that. I just want to make sure no one thinks me highlighting it says I agree with it. You're welcome to have that thought. I don't give a shit if you have that thought. Have fun with it. If the AI bot is sophisticated enough, it can make money. All the blockchains are doing it now. Well, that's cool, I guess. It's just kind of a concept, proof of concept, like a Bitcoin thing. Okay. Interesting. All right, let's get into the next thing. All right, here's this thread that was kind of on this AI thought yesterday that I found yesterday that I thought would be kind of interesting to get into because it kind of, once more on this conversation about like kind of this kind of ties in the conversation we're just having when it comes to like, oh, do you want China spying on you? Do you want U.S. spying on you? And you're like, okay, well, do you want China going to be having the head start of or that's going to essentially be the innovators of the AI world, or do we want to be at U.S. made companies? Honestly, I kind of don't really care that much. I don't even really get particularly why it makes too big of a difference. I don't know. The idea that we need to have some sort of ownership on innovations or something. If anything, like, I don't know. I guess I'm kind of losing my point. But anyways, this is Ryan Grimm here, reporter at Drop Site News, author of We've Got People, co-host of Counterpoints. It says DM for Signal. User, okay. This doesn't seem to be getting enough attention. The Silicon Valley social contract forced on the public by Obama and then Trump and then Biden, minus Lena Khan. And now Trump was straightforward. We will let these bros become the richest people in human history. In exchange, they will develop a tech industry that makes the U.S. dominant for a century. They did the first part, then built monopolies to try to keep out competition rather than continue to innovate at a top level, and then got outcompeted by Chinese companies in both AI and social media. They are the losers we always thought they were, and now so are we. Which, I don't know, I don't buy the so are we part. Because I mean, in my opinion, like if these Chinese companies make this AI and stuff, and especially if there's stuff especially if it's like open source and is able to get out there, which a lot of this stuff will just kind of propagate either way, whether it's open source or not. It's like whatever, the market's moving. I mean, do I really give a shit that much if it's really Chinese based or American, or like it started in China and America? Not particularly, because it's going to spread everywhere. So I don't know. It's just kind of like a myopic view of ideas, how ideas and technology or markets move. I don't know. Now they're going to spend $500 billion gobbling up energy in Texas to build a product China is making for $5 billion and giving away basically free. Let me know how that goes. Meanwhile, the Texas grid breaks when it gets cold. Anyways, here I wanted to back up real quick because I didn't read the original post because this guy was quoting something. It says, for those confused why the U.S. state and Silicon Valley are having a meltdown on Twitter today, China released multiple AI models that are 50 times more efficient than the best American AI models and made them open source, ruining the AI market. So all this Oracle 500 billion shit, or Project Stargate, it's like this stuff will probably be obsolete by the time it fucking comes out anyways. And this will just be some fucking gobbledygook nonsense where it's probably not even what the other fucking AIs have become at this point. And I don't know. I don't even know how to explain. I'm trying to explain what I'm thinking. But anyways, let's talk. All right, I need to get back over there. I'm having a brain fart all of a sudden. Let's get back to the chat. Sorry, I didn't read, or not to the chat, but to the main post. Sorry, I didn't read the original post, so I realized it was a little confusing after the point. But anyways, the original point here is that China released a bunch of them. They're going to be a bunch of AI models. They're 50 times more efficient, and they're open source. So and he's kind of getting the point that, that we over here in America, like we've, put so much of this AI stuff, and you made all these companies super duper rich, and the idea being that like we're going to dominate the market. But meanwhile, they did all this like corporate fucking nonsense that kind of keeping out people, essentially becoming a oligarchy of essentially becoming at the hip with the government, and like this is essentially what happens. Like with these, whenever you get something that's like buddy with the government like this, is that they're going to keep out all the competitors, and partially the reason why is because it's like the government's like, hey, this is my guy, I want him to win. So like, well, maybe he's not the guy who should be fucking winning. Maybe it should be some other guy that you're not the one that you're not backing. Maybe you should back up and either put money into the market altogether, or just not at all and stop trying to influence the fucking market. And then also on the flip side, doing legislation to keep other upstarts from getting in. All right, U.S. tech oligarchs and the actual president of the United States spending time and energy doing crypto nonsense while China releases an AI that kicks our ass. Such a perfect metaphor while also being literally what's happening. And then he says, okay. And then we can watch it. This is a video. Let's listen to this video real quick that kind of gives a breakdown on the AI thing. I think this will be good. This is something he put at like the ass end of his little thread.
We need to talk about those new Chinese AI models called DeepSeek, because the story is pretty insane. If you want to build powerful AI models, you need powerful AI chips. And there's basically one company that produces them, and it's an American company called NVIDIA. Now, since those chips are so valuable today, the US government prohibits NVIDIA from selling those chips to Chinese companies. So you might be thinking, well, how the hell did they manage then to create a model that is more powerful than OpenAI's? That's where it gets interesting. So they could put their hands on a very limited number of NVIDIA chips, but not enough to create a powerful model. So what they did is they made some insane technical innovation to make training of those models extremely more efficient, which means that they used like 1/100th of the resources that OpenAI or Microsoft or Google used to create AI models. But you know what is even more insane? It's a huge F off to a lot of American companies. They created those amazing AI models and then they open sourced them, which means they told the world, hey, not only I will tell you exactly how we did this so you can do this again, we're also going to give you the output. We're going to give you the code of these AI models so you can do whatever you want with them. Which basically means that now the value of a lot of OpenAI models has gone down a lot because there's a free alternative that is better. China is innovating like crazy. And by the way, since there's this idea that this specific Chinese company that you're watching this video from might be banned, I think maybe it's a good idea to start following the people who give you value also on the social media platforms. So if you want to keep following me in case this goes out, that's my Instagram where I keep posting AI content as well. And maybe some personal stories. So that might be...
All right, cool. There's a little video to explain what we were just talking about. I find this particularly interesting especially because they're taking about fucking $500 billion from us for this future nerd fucking project. And meanwhile, likely by the time that gets anywhere near operational, we're probably going to be a point where technology has surpassed it anyways. So cool. Thanks for fucking taking my money. That's awesome. When it obviously wasn't fucking necessary. All right. All right, Schrodinger's fuckers say my strategy is superior. I just say it's poor, so nobody wants to hack me. Hell yeah. USA Core, still see what you're doing anyway if you're not using a VPN or Tor or something. Assuming that you don't have a Chinese ISP. I believe Carmen says I work in cybersecurity, and at the one major tech company I worked at, most of my colleagues were Navy veterans. The head of the greater team, per her, was a high-level Fed in their last role. Oh, who would have guessed? But seeing what you're doing and capturing your credentials are very different things, what she's saying. I wonder if... Okay, whatever. I wonder if Tor usage has gone up a lot since Brave browser came out. I don't even know what that means. All right, there are hundreds of open source AI projects. The deregulation will make it possible for the U.S. to build out the infrastructure. With regards to apps and stores, we'll tell you... Okay, never mind. Sorry, I'm scrolling through these. I'm sorry. I'm scrolling through you guys' chat, seeing what you guys have to say. All right. Let's see. All right. Why are you working on Sunday, Jose? Oh yeah, you're Mexican. Never mind. That's what you're saying. Well, I think I told you guys this yesterday. My wife and the kids are basically gone for the weekend. Pick them up tomorrow at the airport. So I had to stay back to watch the kitties. Somebody's got to do that. So it is what it is. But with that, I'm home alone with a big old honey-do list and plenty of time to do shit like this. I've been like working out like crazy, running, reading. Like, dude, it is wild how much fucking time you have in your hands when you're alone. Like, anyone who's like, oh, my time, and they're not like married with kids, fucking eat a dick. You have so much fucking time. You have all the fucking time. Like, all the fucking time in the world. So, like, don't ever tell me you can't do shit. Say you don't want to. That's fine. But you got plenty of time. It is ridiculous how much fucking time is. It reminds me of why I was so fucking yoked before I got married. It's like, I had nothing but time. So this is Original Pistolero. These weekend ones are the only ones I can listen to live. Hell yeah, dude. Good to have you here, bud. Good to have you here. All right, let's get into some other news. Here we go. This is from my buddy Dave DeCamp. I say buddy, I mean we're more like acquaintances, just to be clear. But he's cool. I get a lot of. If you guys haven't caught on a lot, this show is very much slowly becoming like a Dave DeCamp, Richard Booth, Ken Silva, and maybe a few other people. Just like this is where we just like spread their word. This is what this is. But anyways, this is Zelensky says the U.S. hasn't paused military aid to Ukraine. The U.S. has not halted military aid to Ukraine, Zelensky says after Rubio announced pause on foreign aid grants. There is an article here. I'm not going to read it from CBS News, but you guys are welcome to. I mean, I think we got all the information we need there. But I mean, I did also scroll through Dave's account just to make sure there wasn't anything newer, and checked out antiwar.com. So I haven't seen anything newer than this. So this seems to be the most up to date. So supposedly there was, for those who are aware, I mean, I've talked about this on this show, I believe it was just yesterday or Friday or something like that. Rubio came out and said, "Oh, we've stopped all this foreign aid." Then it came out that like, the word became, "Oh, well, it's not Israel, Ukraine, and some other stuff," is what everyone was saying. Like, I don't know what the official narrative was. And then it became, no, just Israel and Egypt. But it's essentially de facto just Israel, because the only reason you're even doing it for Egypt is because of Israel. Essentially, we bribe Israel not to be at war, or bribe Egypt not to be at war with Israel. But anyways, and then so according to that announcement, supposedly the Ukraine wasn't supposed to be getting more aid anymore, because everyone was assuming they were still going to keep it going to Ukraine during these 90 days that they were pausing, all foreign aid. And then I believe Dave DeCamp pointed out, he goes, "Here's my question. Here's what I'm talking about right here." Actually, originally January 24th, so 2 days ago, Marco Rubio orders pause on foreign aid with exemptions for Israel and Egypt. But it appears that the pause does apply to Ukraine, is what it says. So everything was saying initially it was just Israel and Egypt. Then here he goes, "Here's my question. Does the pause also apply to the weapons the Pentagon's is shipping to Ukraine under the Presidential Drawdown Authority? Biden approved a whole bunch of weapons shipments under that authority before he left." So it looks like maybe they're sneaking by on a technicality. I mean, obviously, Dave's kind of just throwing it out there. It doesn't seem like he knows for sure, but it sounds like he's implying that maybe because of the fact that these were approved before Biden left, that this is why they're still going. So it looks like essentially, cool, I know it sounds great. You're like, oh, cool, they're not doing it, but I think it's like a sneaky, we are, but we aren't. So, yeah. So anyway, Zelensky, and here is Zelensky himself saying that. So saying that Zelensky himself says the U.S. has not halted military aid. So bummer. I mean, it is what it is. So all right, here is another Dave DeCamp, and he said, "One thing I feared a Trump administration might do is bribe Egypt and Jordan to take in all the Palestinians from Gaza to help Israel with its goal of ethnic cleansing." And here it says Trump calls to clean out Gaza and move Palestinians to Egypt and Jordan, by Barack Ravid. I have the article here that I figured we could go through real quick. Yeah, this kind of gets at some of the stuff I was talking about earlier. I know I've kind of been on a little bit of a theme of kind of cautious optimism with this new administration. Well, here is where you should have some wide-eyed realism and be conscious of the possible upcoming threats and be ready to parry them to whatever degree you can, at least rhetorically. That's about all we really can do for the most part. But yes, here is the piece from Barack Ravid. This is an Axios. So President Trump told reporters aboard Air Force One Saturday that he wants Jordan and Egypt to take Palestinians from Gaza into their territory, temporary or long-term. Why it matters. Since the start of the war in Gaza, Egypt and Jordan have led the Arab world's opposition to any forced transfer by Israel of Palestinians from Gaza. Driving the news, Trump on Saturday spoke on the phone with Jordan's King Abdullah, who congratulated on his inauguration. King Abdullah stressed the pivotal role of the U.S. in pushing all sides to work towards achieving peace, security, and stability for all in the region. The Jordanian royal court said in a statement, but Trump said the two leaders discussed an entirely different topic, the millions of Palestinians who live in Jordan and the possibility that more will move there from Gaza. What they're saying, I said to him, I'd love you take on more because I'm looking at the whole Gaza Strip right now and it's a mess. It's a real mess, Trump said. He added that he planned to speak to Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi on Sunday and ask him to accept Palestinians from Gaza. You're taking about 1.5 million people, and we just clean out that whole thing, Trump said. That is quite the statement. It's literally a demolition site. Almost everything is demolished and people are dying there. So I'd rather get involved with some of the Arab nations and build housing at a different location where they can maybe live in peace for a change. I'm sorry, I sound exasperated, but it is kind of like, I don't know, maybe, I mean, this is one of those ones where, like, this is one you almost should have seen coming when there was a big old, like, a big old shift, and you're like, there's this thing where, like, I should have seen this. I should have known this paradigm shift is coming, because, I don't know, not to be, I mean, I guess I'm a little bit still kind of optimistic. I still think Israel probably took some L's here, but in a certain sense, this is almost, I mean, this hasn't played out yet, so we don't know. It looks like there's still, hands to be shaked, babies to be kissed. But it kind of looks like Israel's getting literally exactly what they want here. Because all of this comes down to is that they want these motherfuckers out of there. So now they just bombed the absolute ever-living fucking shit out of that fucking place. Killed countless people, children, women, and now they're gonna settle it down, and then we're gonna have this third party, us, that kind of frames this as like a, hey, we're trying to help you guys out, give you guys peace, get you somewhere else, because you guys just can't live. This is not a livable situation. And they're right. Most of these places are just not livable. It's just not. But you know what? Now it's gonna have. Hey, we're gonna help you guys out. We're gonna reposition you. We're gonna get this country, that country. We're gonna do all these things, and they get them out, and then guess what happens? And then boom. Now settlers come in, and guess what? Gaza is now essentially, for all intents and purposes, Israel. That's the end of it. That's it. And their concern here is that because of Gaza, essentially these Gazans are going to move to other Palestinian locations. So it's like, and now they're like, oh, now we're just going to have a bigger Palestinian problem there. So I don't know. Once this happens, and it's like, hey, now really assuming that this fall goes through, and essentially Gaza, and then it's just West Bank. That's it. They just gotta figure out one more thing. I don't know. It's a bummer. All right, big picture. The absorption of Palestinian refugees in Jordan after the 1948 war, some of them forcibly displaced by Israel, became one of the most significant events in the history of the kingdom. Egypt, meanwhile, sees the transfer of Palestinians from Gaza to its territory as a threat to national security. At the beginning of the war, when Israel Prime Minister Netanyahu raised this idea, Sisi made it clear that such a move would jeopardize a peace agreement between Israel and Egypt. All right, that's the end of that article. Let's pop in to see what you guys have to say. All right, boom. Oh, geez. Man, you guys said a lot. Let me see. Sorry, guys. Let me see. These week. Boom. So I'm married, home alone all the time. Fucking awesome. Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, dude. Between my 3 kids and 50-hour work weeks, I feel like I have no time. Yeah, for real. It's wild. Like. So, I'm in a Unabomber move today. Okay, well, don't do anything that you would regret, please. Trump just said he plans on pulling 20,000 troops out of Europe. Well, that's cool. That is super cool, I guess. I mean, obviously, we're not really, like, fighting a war in Europe, but I would assume that's probably where they're doing a lot of their staging for the Ukraine-Russia stuff. So, that's good. I would say that I assume that's some sort of preparation for a drawdown there. So, that is good. When's he starting the third temple construction project from Jay Brooks? On any time now. We'll begin on that, sure. So Barron Trump is a Nephilim. Changed my mind from Joey Poopbag. They're setting him up to take the thrones as Nancy. Maybe. Boop, boop, boop. All right, let's get back into here. Let's see. All right, here's another one. This is a tweet that was shared by the Redheaded Libertarian. It says January 23rd, Trump appointee John Ratcliffe sworn as director of the CIA. January 25th. And it was a thing from that's yesterday. The Wall Street Journal. The CIA now favors the theory that COVID-19 arose from a lab leak, a judgment the agency said was made with low confidence. A judgment the agency said was made with low. Okay, so now they're saying they're favoring it, but with a low confidence. Okay, I mean whatever. I mean, what Ratcliffe, if I recall correctly, is a little bit of a rat. So I mean, but either way, it's CIA. So what do we really expect? But it's just kind of funny. It's like, oh, no, we got a new CIA there. Oh, no, we're changing now. We're changing. Here's somebody, a good take I just wanted to share. This is from Jeremy Lafredo, whoever this guy is, investigative journalist. He said, well, of course, the CIA assessment is being used to ramp up anti-China fever, but the interesting thing is the only lab that anyone can't point fingers at is the Wuhan Institute of Virology, whose funding for their COVID gain-of-function research came directly from Fauci's NIH, the U.S. military-linked EcoHealth Alliance, and USAID. So, cool, they're saying it's a lab leak, but are they going to say it has anything to do with their lab? I highly doubt it. But I don't know, I guess it's cool. I guess it's good, somewhat, sort of, to see some of these things changing, but it's kind of like, I don't know, we knew it anyways. I mean, it was literally you guys who probably fucking did it. So, all right, here is we're kind of winding down here, just so you guys know. Here is one that it's just kind of silly, kind of stupid. But I just think, this made me think watching this. I mean, it is funny, but it's just like, this made me think about the idea. We've talked about this on the show a few times here and there, like the idea that all of this is just theater. It's like, Masonic theater at some deep level or whatever. But this is one where you're like, either like you guys deserve a award for your level of acting, or at the very least there's some sort of actual enmity here. Because I just think the body language here, the alphaing back and forth, it's just, if this is an act, they're doing a damn good job. But no, this is just kind of a fun little aside for us to look through. But this is Newsom and Trump. This is Trump coming to visit to check out all the, kind of do his walkthrough for all the fire stuff. So this is Trump meeting him at the plane, kind of like, oh, hey, Mr. Trump. So obviously this is a key moment, to kind of like in a power games type way. So as silly as it may sound, this handshake does really matter. And here it is right here. Sorry for the audio listeners. You may want to fast forward a few seconds because obviously you're not going to get much out of this from an audio sense.
At the bottom of those stairs again. Governor Newsom did invite President Trump to come visit and take a look at the damage from the wildfires. So again, looks like a pretty warm,
friendly embrace.
Okay. Yes.
Oh.
And who knows what they're talking about? If only we could be a little fly buzzing around that conversation.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, for those who aren't aware, I mean, maybe it's a thing a lot of women I could see not being aware of, but this is like, I mean, I say most men, no, like the handshake matters. I mean, there are a lot of bitch-made men out there that I have like shook their hands and I'm like, wow, no one taught you shit, huh? I mean, sometimes I guess you catch people in an off handshake where you're a little weird, but you want a firm handshake, and then if you want to even go further with it, you pull them into it. You pull them into you, that is the thing Trump does a lot. There's a lot of different like mannerisms that kind of establish yourself. You want to seat yourself above them. Kind of like, I mean, obviously like Newsom's a little bit taller, but look at the you can look at the stance of Trump. They're very shoulders back, very very regal. I would say probably earlier in here, Newsom had more of this too, more of like a. Actually, no, he doesn't have a great posture. But yeah, point being, so far power games, you want to have a strong posture. Trump's killing it here. You see that they're going for the shake. They go in for the hug to kind of make it seem into a little pat.
Looks like,
and then now they're trying to do the pull in.
Embrace. Okay.
Yes.
And pull.
And who knows what they're talking about?
And it's like it's kind of like you want to be the one controlling the interaction. It's kind of the same idea when you see UFC. When you see the person leading the tempo, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win or that you're the better fighter, but it is preferably in a power game perspective. I mean, even just from an outside looking in, like anyone looking at that person pushing tempo, they're winning. It's the same idea here. It's the same basic thing when it comes to this. It's all just about like energy you're putting out to the world. Like who is who is the top of the hierarchy here. That's what we're establishing. And it's something as simple as a stupid fucking handshake.
It'd be a little fly
Back and forth, back and forth.
around that conversation.
No, right.
So even like the letting go of it, it kind of needs to be at a point to where you determine where it's at a point where you're comfortable with it. Typically, you're the one who just terminates it. And if anything, you want to like kind of hold them in longer to know that you're holding them. Like, I have you, bitch. Like, I mean, like obviously you're not saying these things explicitly, but these are subtle things being said. Just with this little body language.
I think, in general, they're polite, and it's sort of when they get in front of a camera or the other person's not in the room, it seems like that's when the, vitriol comes.
Yeah, and look at that too. Like the very much the demeanor was like dismissive. Like, okay, cool, yep, all right, cool, all right. See you later, man. All right. So very well done. I'll give him that. He is damn good at these power games. I'll tell you that. Let's check in the chat. See what you guys say. Everyone's talking about Barron being Nephilim. Yeah, he's probably a Nephilim. Yeah, we'll need these troops here once the millions of military age revolt. I don't know about that, but yeah, they might want them here for more domestic stuff. That's for sure. So, all right, let's go into this. Here is this is one that was shared by Radix recently. Here is a video, which we'll check that out. Let's watch the video first, and then I'll just I'll give my commentary, and I'll show you what Radix had to say on it. But here is Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel. She's saying the tweet, Michigan has some of the strongest laws to combat hate crimes and domestic terrorism, and federal pardons cannot be issued for those who are convicted under Michigan state law.
Dana Nessel. Hi, it's Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel. Look, I know a lot of people have concerns about the blanket pardons and commutations that were issued by President Trump involving those that were convicted and people who were charged with really violent acts at the insurrection that occurred at the Capitol on January 6, 2021. But now these people have been freed, and they've been freed without any consideration about whether or not they continue to pose a threat to public safety. Many of those people are from Michigan and have come or are on their way back to Michigan right now. So people are rightfully concerned. Well, I want to reassure everyone, we have very strong laws in Michigan when it comes to domestic terrorism and people who threaten public officials or people who work for the government or when they attack law enforcement. Our domestic terrorism unit at the Michigan Department of Attorney General is going to ensure that anyone who violates those laws will be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. And no presidential pardon or commutation can undermine our state laws.
All right, now why would this broad, this when they attack, why would this broad feel the need to, what would possess her to do to even make such a statement? I mean, keep in mind this is Michigan. I mean, I don't know. Maybe every attorney general is doing this. I don't know. There's the only one I've noticed. Maybe it's the only one that's relevant to me. So maybe I'm off here. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe all the attorney generals, especially the lefty ones, are making statements about how, like, hey, don't worry, this won't happen here. But I mean, there is something weird about Michigan saying, like, why? Do you guys have something? Is there any reason why there be any pardons in Michigan, particularly ones that might be caught up in state law, Michigan state law? I mean, are there any ones that would concern Trump? Well, let's see. Here's Rags Verum. So if it's not clear, she's threatening to charge Adam Fox and Barry Croft with state crimes if Trump pardons them. She's currently holding the men charged in the Fednapping hoax at the state level hostage as they delay their appeals, deny lawyer visitation, etc. So what they're saying is there are these people, which Adam Fox and Barry Croft, which I mean, a lot of these people have been already got out or sticking around, but essentially the idea is that, like, she's saying that if Trump were to pardon Adam Croft or Adam Fox or Barry Croft, or even one of these guys that they're kind of delaying things to make it so they can't really anyways, which at the state level, they have no power at the state level. So essentially, it really feels like they're making a point to be like, hey, remember that Michigan thing that was a big deal? Nothing. Don't worry, that we're good. We still got that on lock. That seems like that really does feel like what this is. So, I mean, given that there is a reason why I think some of these guys, they chose to go state level for some of these, especially once they started falling apart. So, I don't know. I mean, it's a little bit of a bummer. I mean, so hopefully we do see maybe something going forward from Trump with the Michigan stuff, because this stuff was big. I mean, I think a lot of people don't realize the extent to where this clearly was a weaponized, system type deal. Like this I mean, go check out obviously go check out Radek's coverage. I mean, I've got a playlist you can check out that has a lot of like, Michigan stuff, but I mean, it was a Fed-napping hoax. This was almost entirely Feds. These guys, I'm telling you, when I did my digging into this, I was looking for the tiniest bit of some sort of they did something wrong or bad or even like retarded to where you're like, well, why did you do that? I mean, don't get me wrong. There were some that were kind of borderline retarded, but even then there was stuff that were like, most of these guys are really like, I don't know, I kind of get it. Like there wasn't really anything that was like over the top. They were offered money by Feds and they turned it down. Like they offered explosives, like, or, like pretty much anything they turned down. So like a lot of people go, oh, these stupid people, like, oh, they just fell for a Fed op. And you're like, I don't know. I mean, I used to be of the belief that as long as I didn't do anything illegal, if I was a part of any group or whatever, that'd be okay. And that's essentially exactly what these guys did. And then, essentially the Feds infiltrated this group, and actually a couple other groups, and essentially then twisted narratives to make it seem like they were doing something they weren't, even though this whole Fednapping hoax was completely a thing of their own invention. I think even something that they just more or less picked around when they were drunk or stoned with the guys, and it wasn't even something that they were involved with. It was something they were completely pushing. Yeah, I mean, I know it's one of those things that, like, if you're concerned about weaponization of the government, this is it. And then also this ties into the election stuff, like, so much. This clearly was being contrived as some sort of, anti-Republican right-wing thing. I mean, they were going after Whitmer. This also was the preamble to January 6th. A lot of the same Feds that were involved were the same ones. It basically was kind of like a trial run for January 6th is what it looks like. At least I don't mean, like if you look at, once you dig into this, there was like a Wolverine Watchmen happening thing where they went to protest at some certain event, and it basically was kind of the same exact idea as like January 6th. They used that as kind of like and it has same, like, I forget the name of the guy, but there was like some Fed that was on the head of it that then moved from that to that. Point being is there's a lot of connective tissue here between this and the Trump administration and weaponization of the government, that this would be like kind of the next logical thing, I think, for one of the next logical things for Trump to really start looking towards pardoning or commuting or whatever. And then of course, we have this Dana broad, seemingly getting ahead of it, saying, don't worry, that nothing's happening there, we're good. So all right, Fed honeypot operation. All right, let's just poke it in here. All right, let's keep going. This is an interesting story here for you guys. A large-scale multi-agency nuclear incident training exercise will take place January 26th, today, through January 31st in Schenectady, Albany, and Saratoga counties. The training exercise will not pose risk to area residents. Please do not be alarmed by the activity. Now, this is the FBI in Albany, New York. A nuclear incident training exercise. Now, maybe correct me if I'm wrong. If there's anybody out here who would know better in the chat or comments or wherever, is this a regular thing? Because this is the first time I've seen something like this. I've seen everyone sharing it, going, whoa, what the hell's going on here? Like, well, they're doing a training exercise. Like, it just seems weird this would be announced on Twitter in this way. So I don't know if this is normal, let me know. I don't know how frequently the FBI is doing exercises and on top of that, letting the world know. I guess in this situation, they're doing it like outside, so they're letting us know, hey, this is like if any weird shit happens in these 5 days, probably us. That's basically what this is. I would assume it's a public alert. So I don't know. I don't know. A nuclear training incident. Keep in mind, this is in New York. We had the New Jersey drones thing a while ago. That was, New York, New Jersey. This is a difference of honestly, probably 30-minute drive in a lot of places. I think they border each other, but anyways, they're not far. Everywhere in New England's basically like a couple-hour drive from each other. But yeah, so basically right next door. So being right in that same area, the going theory for a lot of people was that there was some leak stuff here and there that seemed to imply that perhaps the drones were looking for some nuclear something or other. So a lot of people are surmising maybe this has something to do with it. I know, either way, weird, something to look into. So yeah. Oh, here's actually, let's look at this real quick so we can see. Will not pose any. Public does not need to be alarmed by training-related activity, including the presence of military personnel on aircraft and people in protective equipment. Okay, I guess that makes sense. If they're having people walk around the creepy, like, fucking nuke/biohazard shit, like, yeah, I guess people get freaked out if they saw that driving around. Similar trainings have been conducted in various regions around the United States since 2012. Okay, maybe it's not that weird. So these are part of a series of regularly scheduled U.S. government biannual exercises. All right, or once again, not that weird. Although I will say, I think this might be someone talk about tinfoil hat. It is weird that how often it is like every time one of these deep events happens, it always seems like there was some sort of fucking exercise going on around the same time. I want to say maybe no, that was actually I think it was on Jeremy's show. I was talking about this, but yeah, like for example, I believe there was like they were doing some sort of weird ATF exercise with was it the like the rider truck / like the moving trucks essentially like very shortly before like I want to say it was like weeks or days prior to the actual Oklahoma City bombing. So it's like, why were you doing that exercise? Obviously 9/11, they had literally an ongoing military exercise that was kind of essentially playing out the same scenario. So weird stuff. The exercise participants will conduct operations in personal protective equipment to simulate realistic conditions. It will include aircraft and federal, state, and local law enforcement. Okay, yeah, that's due to the sensitive nature of the capabilities being implemented, the training activities are not open to the public or media. Again, their training exercise will not pose any risk to the public. Okay, I know this could be a nothing burger. I found it particularly interesting. A lot of people were kind of worried about also if you understand the natures of how these exercises are used. All right, guys, I have one more thing for you, and then we'll get out of here. But let's run through the chat one last time, see if there's anything y'all want me to bring up beforehand. We can early life check on that broad. I think they did one in New York a couple years ago. Maybe. I remember I think you might be thinking of in New York a couple years ago, they had that weird like commercial that was going on. That was kind of like a weird nuclear commercial. So maybe that's what you're thinking of. So yeah, it must have been exactly 2 years ago. They did it now. If they're saying it's biannual, I think biannual is twice a year. I think I might be wrong. You could be right. It could mean every other year. I'm not sure. All right. Either way, here's the last thing I got for you all today. This is a video from Roger Ver. It says, Mr. President, I'm American and need your help. Only you with your commitment to justice can save me. At Real Donald Trump. Well, I mean, I did say that just recently that one of the most next logical things for Trump is to do the Michigan, to pardon the Michigan people to the best ability that he can. Because even though they're like, oh, well, state can't do X, Y, and Z, if he really came out hard and pushed, at the very least, you would give like a real interest and a real like energy push into that. You essentially get all these guys out. Now you narrow the focus to whatever people are left, and then whatever political shenanigans they're trying to keep them around, or if they do try to prosecute state crimes, it'll make their tyranny even more obvious, essentially. But here's Roger Ver, and he's another person I'd like to throw as a pardon. I would say probably not as politically obvious when it comes to Trump, because there's really not anything here. But, I mean, man, this is quite the travesty of justice that you're seeing here. A little recap from my understanding of the situation. Roger Ver, I forget, I don't know if he's in the United States right now, or if he's in another company. I think he's in another country. But essentially, I think from my understanding, he's not even a U.S. citizen anymore, I don't believe. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he essentially got rid of his citizenship and to move. And when he did that, essentially there was some sort of like canceling your citizenship, something or other. Essentially, this all comes down to like tax fraud, essentially. And the idea is that they think this guy was all up in crypto, so most of his money is tied up in crypto. And then the idea was like, how do you do? I forget the exact term of what he was supposed to do, but essentially he was supposed to give them certain amounts of percentage of taxes or whatever the fuck whenever he whenever he got rid of his citizenship, and they allowed him to do so. And apparently at the time they were like, oh, this is a proper amount, but due to whatever, I don't know if they're like, oh, we did it wrong or whatever. Now they're like, oh, no, you actually owe millions more, and like a ridiculous amount that like, I don't know if he can't afford it or what, but he's looking at like essentially beyond life in prison, like about 100 plus years in prison right now over completely bureaucratic bullshit, which really just comes down to them wanting their money and really not even having a clear method of how they're going about collecting taxes from something like crypto. Essentially, he is a victim of their vagary when it comes to how their tax law, essentially, because it seemed like he tried to follow along with it, at least to the degree to not get, not be put in a cage, because he's very much like us, a libertarian guy, ANCAP, whatever, or I say us, I mean those of us who agree with me. So he is of that ilk, but he still doesn't like going to jail. So he did try to pay it. He did pay it. But all right, let's watch this video and then I'll get you guys out of here.
My name is Roger Ver. I was the first person in the entire world to start investing in the Bitcoin ecosystem. I was born an American, I am an American, and I will die as an American. And it's those American ideals that made me so excited about Bitcoin. But as I'm filming this might be my very final moments of freedom. By later tonight in Spain, I could very well be in a Spanish prison on my way back to the United States to face life in prison up to 109 years. Not because I've done anything wrong, but because of my activism within cryptocurrency. But there's some people who hate America. They've used lawfare against people that are spreading American ideals. And if there's anybody that knows what it's like to be the victim of lawfare for spreading American ideals, it's Donald Trump. They're doing the exact same thing to me that they've done to you. I love America. I never would have left if it wasn't for these people that hate America using lawfare to drive me away from America, to make it so I didn't even feel safe in the land that I love.
My life was saved for a reason.
That's why I need your help, because I was lucky enough to have been born in the greatest country on earth, but by the time I die, I want it to be even greater. I gave up my citizenship because I knew some U.S. government agencies would keep targeting me for my political views and past activism. And indeed they have. It was one of the hardest and saddest decisions I have ever made, because America is my home. Please help me be allowed to participate in the amazing things that are happening in America. I want to help with it. I want to invest my money in America. Please, Donald Trump, I need your help to end this lawfare and allow me to come home so that I can help you make America great again. Please help me.
So yeah, I agree. I wish that would be one I'd like to see get out there. So guys, if you are on Twitter, even if it's a simple retweet, I swear I retweeted this earlier. What the fuck? I don't know. I have this issue sometimes where I'll retweet or like something and later it's gone. But anyways, if you guys do want to like and retweet that would be something. I don't know. It's the least we can do, I guess. It's something that can maybe move the needle. But yeah, Roger Ver definitely doesn't deserve what's happening to him. I don't know him personally or anything, but like this is, from my looking into this is an insane, travesty in relation to justice. This is quite ridiculous. It really is one of these things where he looked like he tried to do everything he possibly could to, satiate the government's need for money when he forfeited his citizenship, and for some reason they decided to, I think it was well over a decade later, be like, oh, you fucked up, and so. I don't know. It's ridiculous. This is this needs to be addressed. I hope that I hope somehow he does come across this and maybe swaps things up. So, all right, update on that guy that blew up the data center in an RV that played music. Updating that guy. I don't know what the hell that means. Are you asking me for an update? I'm confused. I don't know. Remember the commercial also, but I don't know. Jose, I'm retarded. Could be way off. Yeah, me too. I don't know. Original. All right. So Dr. Roy saying you were correct. He's no longer a citizen. Yeah, he said that in there as well. So it got swept under the rug nearly as hard as Vegas. What are you talking about? The blew up the data center in an RV, the music. Oh, I think I remember what you're talking about. Vaguely, and yes, that did get super swept under the rug. Yeah. That was like a story for like a day or two, and then just gone. Yeah, I vaguely recall. I don't even really. It's gone so memory hole that I barely recall it. Yeah. So yeah, this one says it's a browser issue happens to me. Okay, well then there you go. Now people know that if you're having issues, there might be browser issues. Log out and log back in. All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. Well, somebody said, won't the president just pardon him? Yeah, that's the idea. We want him to pardon him. Yeah, please get the. Hopefully, we can get the information out there and he can pardon him. But as of right now, there is nothing saying he's being pardoned. So, but yeah, guys, if you want to support what I'm doing over here, you can do that over at patreon.com/nowayjose2020. The lowest level is $2. That gives you the early access to these episodes, or not to these episodes. These ones just are live. But the morning dumps, these are always live. But then the normal No Way Jose, it's those I do usually about once a week. I am doing one tonight, doing the Vegas shooting. But those you get early if you're a patron, but usually roughly about a week early, week or more actually, typically. And then you also can be a talking head on Already Dead alongside me and Austin on Tuesdays at 9:30. The second half of the show, we do a call-in, and if you're a patron of me or Austin, you can use the video call-in option. And there's also an ad-free RSS feed you can use on my Patreon. There's a link there that you can put in your podcatcher, and it will give you an ad-free RSS feed for me. But also at my highest level, this is my sponsors. I read them off every episode. My co-hosts on Tower Gang at Tower Gang Toad. Also at AbrogateDs at ZOVERACK at _Infinite Zeal. And also have Tim Tuttle at John Young Klebold. And Will Bell's Delicious Blueberry Rabbit Eye Wine. And then Torin May. And then also I have at INWARD Lover. Because we all should learn to look a little bit inward and learn to love ourselves. And we should all be inward lovers. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. If you're watching this if you're listening to this on an audio podcatcher, make sure to go leave me a 5-star review. Helps out a lot. In all seriousness, if you're watching this live right now, whatever a video platform you go, just go down, click that like button real quick. Takes no time whatsoever. You can follow me on Twitter at Tower Gang Jose. With that, guys, we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. Good episode, buddy, from Pistolero. Thank you. Oh, Trump can't pardon him. He's not a citizen. That can't be right, though. I mean, he may not be a citizen, but they are prosecuting him. I don't know. Whatever. But thanks, Jose, from Eddie Grimm. Always a good dump, or at least that's how I understand it. So that's what you're not. That's your understanding. I know. I would feel like Roger Ver would have looked into that. So I don't know. But whatever. We'll see. Hopefully something comes to that. But with that, guys, we're out of here. Deuces.